Live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. As always, appreciate you tuning in. As usual on a Sunday morning, we'll look at some of the stakes action from yesterday, highlighted obviously by the big card at the fairgrounds. Unfortunately, that was hit a little bit by the weather, but we'll hit on those stakes, a couple other stakes as well, and then some news and notes and whatnot. And I'll kick things off by doing my best Bob Kovacic or one of the local weathermen, certainly, because we do have some weather-related announcements. The first is today. Today, Laurel is canceled in anticipation of weather, so Laurel is canceled. Aqueduct just sent out accelerated post times. The first post is scheduled for 12:40. The last post will be 3:42. It was originally, I think, 4:08. So by the end of the day, they'll be about 25 minutes ahead. And again, they're looking at weather and anticipating things. And so if you're playing Aqueduct today, just be aware they have sped things up. Tomorrow, holiday, there was the regular Monday tracks, but there was also some other venues that don't normally run on a Monday, but on the holiday we're going to go, one of those being Oaklawn. Oaklawn, in anticipation of some temperatures down there, have essentially postponed their Monday card. So they aren't racing at Oaklawn tomorrow on Monday, but they're adding a day to next week. So they're going to move the Monday card to Thursday. So rather than a 3-day week as usual, they'll have a 4-day week, Thursday through Sunday. So no racing at Oaklawn tomorrow, but they'll come back early on Thursday. Mahoning has already canceled for Monday and Tuesday in anticipation of weather and temperatures. So, excuse me, there are your weather updates for today and the next few days. And again, I think I mentioned Laurel canceled for today. Note that as well. They came back after a kind of a holiday break, came back under the new ownership situation, being essentially a state kind of a ownership group with the horsemen involved, and they raced Friday and they raced yesterday. Yesterday they had a nice little stakes day at Laurel. I went and looked. I didn't pick up the stakes, but do note you can go back and look at results because they had a nice stakes day at Laurel yesterday. But they're going to take today off in anticipation again of weather. Up here in upstate New York, we're looking at maybe a little snow today as well. But nothing, it sounds like not major. I was talking with Dan in the control room earlier. The various forecasts kind of, it's wide ranging, but it seems like the consensus is mainly we'll get some snow. It won't be overwhelming a little bit later on today. But going from the Albany area down south to New York City and then the Mid-Atlantic, it seems like it's going to get maybe slammed a little more. And then we'll hit some cold temperatures early in the week. So everybody stay safe. You know, if there is some snow, don't go out unless you have to. Get on the roads, and with the cold temperatures over the next few days, make sure you know, if you're going out, you have the right layers on and whatnot. And the point being, just as I say, stay safe if any weather conditions hit where you are. All right. Let's take a look at some of the action from yesterday. Let's start out in New York. The Busanda was on the card as the highlight yesterday at Aqueduct. $125,000 for 3-year-old fillies going a mile and an eighth. So essentially, potentially, a step along the Kentucky Oaks Trail, being 3-year-old fillies. And we shall see how it works out for the winner. The winner was the favored Running Away, 3-2, Sahin Savachi on board for Wesley Ward. And again, with Wesley Ward and a horse that had a pretty good record, including a nice maiden breaker when switched to the dirt last time down at Churchill before this race, goes off as, again, the favorite, the number 9. And I used my Sharona, who is the number 7. And I thought coming around the turn and into the stretch, I was in a good spot. But the way the track played yesterday, there was no change in the stretch. It played to speed yesterday, and Running Away was on the lead, turning for home. My Sharon was sitting outside on the turn, and then when they turned for home, I thought, maybe we'll sit down and go by. But again, as the track was playing. So Running Away, it was a good effort, but it was on the front end on a track that played to that. So maybe we'll have to find out a little more about that horse going forward. Same with my Sharona, though. I thought it was a good effort. Just it stayed in the same situation the entire way down the stretch on a different type of track, a track playing differently. My Sharona could be interesting. Ray Handel, my Sharona came in with a couple of maiden special starts, and there were a couple of close-up second-place finishes. So again, I like that one on top. Went off at a nice 6-1 yesterday from a 9-2 morning line. And again, ran well, ran another second. So 3 starts, 3 seconds, including a stakes try. But Ray Handel said they're going to aim to break the maiden sometime between now and a try perhaps in the Busher at Aqueduct on March 1st. So it looks like maybe they'll go back to more proper maiden special company, see if they can break the maiden, get the win, take a little purse money, and then potentially on to the Busher. Again, for the second place finisher, my Sharona, who, as I say, I thought ran well given the situation. But it was a good win for Running Away. Wesley Ward said they'll be aiming potentially for the Grade 1 Ashland at Keeneland, but there'll be a race in between, TBD, to be decided. But the game plan at this point, the Grade 1 Ashland, that's where they're looking. And then obviously, again, these are 3-year-old fillies, so potentially the Kentucky Oaks. It was interesting, the follow-up article in the Racing Form. Wesley Ward was quoted. They contacted Wesley, and he said, I had said to Sahin Savici, the jockey, earlier in the day, go to the lead. I want you on the lead and try to go all the way around. And then he said, watching the races early, and that it was speed favoring, he kind of felt like, well, everybody's going to want to go for the lead. So he called Sahin back and said, it's up to you. Maybe don't gun it. If everybody's out there, maybe that's going to be detrimental. As it worked out, though, again, he essentially left it up to Sahin Savici, and Savici said, I was willing to play it anyway, but we got the lead, and so we went back to plan A, and that was take them all the way around, and that's the way it worked out. And I have not seen, let me see if I can quickly pull up and see if there are some of the usual suspects, but I haven't seen any buyers for really any of the stakes yesterday. So I don't know what the numbers came out to be. Yeah, nothing there. Let me just, and excuse me for taking my time here, but typically I'm just kind of, as I say, going through the usual suspects as far as buyers. I'm not seeing anything. I'll check again when we get to a break, a couple more options. But again, it was a nice win for Running Away, but I would keep my eye on my Sharona too coming out of this one. I think there's a little potential for both again, and potential and maybe some question marks the way that the track played yesterday. But Running Away, Wesley Ward, Sahin Savici. And I should also mention Sahin Savici. I've been saying now for a couple of weeks, a month, keep your eyes on Sahin Savici and Sofia Vivas, both coming down from Woodbine at the end of their season. Sahin Savici was the leading rider at Woodbine this past season. and Sophia Vivas, who was the leading apprentice last year, a couple of years ago, was the fourth on the leaderboard at Woodbine, I believe. And I thought they would both make a little noise, and Savachi is. Currently, the daily recap that was sent out yesterday, they always give the totals, the current meet totals for jockeys and trainers. On the jockey side of things, Jose Lezcano on top with 14. Kendrick Carmouche is riding very well, 13. Manny Franco, 11. But Sahin Savachi, 9. So he's going very well. Sophia Vivas, I looked up. She's sitting with 3 wins going back to the first of the year. But late last year, she had another 3 wins because she came down a couple of times while Woodbine was still going. So she's going all right as well. And again, I would keep my eyes on both of those. But it does seem like Savachi is getting a little buzz as well. And it can't hurt to pop off a little stakes win to help that buzz. And he did that yesterday at Aqueduct. Over at Oaklawn, we had 3-year-olds in the Renaissance, 6-furlong trip there. The favorite, the overwhelming favorite, was Kale's Angel. Had started the career in Southern California. Mixed results out there. They were all on the turf, the Southern California races. Then Peter Miller brought the horse to Oaklawn early in the meet, early in December, won the Advent Stakes in the first start on the dirt, first start at Oaklawn, followed that up in the Smarty Jones. The Advent was 5.5 furlongs. The Smarty Jones was 1 1/16 and wound up running third behind Coal Battle, a kind of interesting runner coming in from the Midwest. So now Kale's Angel cutting back to 6 furlongs, and it just seems like Sprint is more up the alley at Kale's Angel. Going to be the number 4 horse here. Again, 30 cents to the dollar, overwhelming favorite. Running second is number 1, Perfect Magic. Steve Asmussen trainee with Eric Asmussen on board. This one had run third behind Kale's Angel in the Advent, but winds up running a good close-up second here. This is the ding-dong finish, neck, nose. Piquant runs third, but holding on determinedly, it was Kale's Angel, who now has 3 wins and 7 career starts, but more notably on the dirt is 2 for 3 with a third place finish, all in stakes company. So it seems like, again, career started on the turf in Southern California, but they seem to have found the magic a little more on the dirt at Oaklawn. Ramon Vasquez was on board again for trainer Peter Miller, and Kale's Angel, a daughter of complexity, again, seeming to have found a home on the main track, and we'll see where they go with this one. Again, they tried 2 turns, and the Smarty Jones wasn't a bad effort, ran third there. Seems a little more sprint meant, the kind maybe do we see in the test later this year, or will they try to stretch out again? Because, as I say, the Smarty Jones wasn't a bad effort necessarily, but certainly talent there on the sprint side on the dirt. So we'll see how they progress moving forward. Again, it was a big stakes day down at the fairgrounds, and unfortunately, it fell apart a little bit with the weather. We had Joe Christofek on with us yesterday. We had taped that on Friday, and on Friday he said, early in the week they were anticipating some weather, and that the forecast had gotten a little bit better, so he thought maybe by Saturday it would be okay. Fairgrounds essentially tweeted out that same thought early in the morning. We're expecting things to clear out, so we're kind of hesitating to make the surface switch. And then, while I was on the air yesterday, they tweeted out, no, we had too much rain overnight, so we're off the turf. So that kind of switched things up a little bit overall, and the track played sloppy all day long. So we'll have to parse that into our thoughts on the results. But in the Kenner, it was scheduled 5.5 on the grass, went over to the dirt. The favorite was number 7, Uncashed, and I liked Uncashed. It was a Larry Ravelli trainee. He had no balls entered on the turf. And No Balls just kind of star-crossed. They had sent No Balls over to Hong Kong and came down with a little fever, I believe. So they didn't race in Hong Kong. They're back. They're expecting to go for a turf stake at Fairgrounds. And Larry Ravelli, with No Balls based at Turfway, said, you know what? With the weather forecast, I'm not going down. But Uncashed, Larry Ravelli said, was looking for the dirt. So they got what they wanted. Uncashed, the number 7 horse, goes off as a 2-1 favorite and just winds up a dull 6th in here. So Uncashed doesn't do anything. Horse I had right underneath on the dirt, however, was Kavad. Bonafide dirt runners. They have to think they got what they wanted to. Kavad's number 3 horse here. Going to win by a very easy chart margin of 5. Over and Ollie, the number 10 second. Demolition third. Over and Ollie was another one I thought was going to be okay on the dirt and was coming off a dirt win just a few weeks ago. So a couple of logical dirt performers with the surface, which run 1-2 as the second and third. No, the third and fourth choice. Well, the fourth choice at 7-2 and the third choice at 3-1. And you wound up with, given a couple of horses in the 7-2, 3-1 range, run 1-2. Decent little exacta, $40 with a couple of players in there. But Kavad gets it done for Joe Sharp. More notably on board, Frankie Dettori. And it was Frankie Dettori's first ride at the fairgrounds. His, I want to say, post-retirement career, it was what now, maybe a year and a half ago where they kind of announced retirement. And then it was kind of like, nah, you know what? I think I'll go spend the winter in Santa Anita. And that turned out okay. And now he's just kind of popping around the country to various tracks and doing very well, obviously, as demonstrated here on Kavad. He gets it done in his first start at the fairgrounds. Also notable, this horse, Clever Claim, claimed last June at Churchill Downs for $50,000. Won that start for the previous owners, obviously, but since being claimed, a couple of seconds and a win before yesterday, and now they put a stakes win on the resume since the claim. So again, Kavad, a Clever Claim going back to last June for $50K. They've certainly made that back and more. I mean, yesterday they had to get $100K. They had to get $60,000 yesterday. Also on the stakes schedule yesterday at Fairgrounds, and another one that was washed off the turf onto the main track was the Marie Krantz Memorial, Fillies and Mayors. Scheduled to go a mile and a 16th on the grass, went over to the main track, and it winds up to be Stir Crazy, who I kind of kicked myself. I didn't have this one in my dirt selections. I wound up kind of scratching down to one horse on the dirt side of things, trying my heart out, the number 11, who winds up well beaten 6th in here. And I did not use the number 3, Stir Crazy, who gets a nice ride here from Joel Rosario. He had no place to go outside. He takes the left turn, goes down to the rail, squeezes through, and runs off by 5 3/4 lengths. And again, it was a really clever ride because he was going to go out. He could see nothing's going to open up there. Then down to the rail, gets through, and gets it done. And as I say, you look on the page, and it's mostly turf races, but you go down to May and April last year. There were a couple off the turfers. They were pretty good. This horse on a wet track prior to yesterday, 5 starts on a wet track, 3 wins in a couple seconds. So again, I kind of kicked myself in review that I didn't have that one as one of my dirt selections. Now 6 tries on wet tracks, 4 wins in a couple seconds. Stir Crazy, essentially getting what they wanted. And you have to go back a little ways, but I do believe this one was also a claim. Again, this is not on the page, but I believe this one was claimed for $35,000, according to one of the post-race articles I read. So this one clearly a very clever claim. Stir Crazy, getting it done in the Krantz on the main track with the surface switch. Silver Bullet Day, again, yesterday's highlight was the Lecomte for the 3-year-old boys. But again, at the fairgrounds, when they have one of these big days, they hit on a number of divisions. So you have the 3-year-old boys. Well, you also get the 3-year-old girls in the Silver Bullet Day. I like Go-Well's Delight. That one scratched. It was a Kenny McPeak runner. He left Golden Gamble in. Golden Gamble as the one McPeak kind of pointed at as live. I landed there after the scratch of my top pick, moved up Golden Gamble. Golden Gamble, a little bit disappointing, is what the third choice at 2-1, winds up fifth in there. Horse I had right underneath, however, Simply Joking gets it done as the 8-5 favorite. Simply Joking, the number 2 horse. Jaime Torres on board for Whit Beckman. Joe Christofek, when we had him on, he liked Simply Joking. And the betting public did too, off a buyer that kind of stood out. It was just a little questionable. The buyer in the career debut win was very good, but it was also at 6 furlongs. So how would the horse stretch out? Yeah, very well. A little green in the stretch, little touch green, comes out a little bit, but runs well. Running second was Bless the Broken, and then Drexel Hill ran third. Break the Broken, running second, was the longest price on the board at 16-1 for Will Walden. So you had the favorite over the longest price on the board for a nice little $45 exacta, $47 exacta. Gave you a little value on the $5.40 winner as the favorite. But Simply Joking, I talked about the other two that were claims and clever claim. This was a clever auction purchase. $65,000 paid at auction, Keeneland, September 23, for Simply Joking. And you wind up with 2 stakes on the resume already because, as I say, she won the career debut, but that was the Letelier a little earlier in the fairgrounds meet. So they thought enough to debut in a stakes race, got the victory there. They followed up, stretched out, and got the victory in the Silver Bullet Day. So, as I say, for $65,000, that's a pretty good yearling buy. Trainer Whit Beckman kind of in the post-race article I read, the post-race recap, was kind of taking a wait and see as far as next month's Rachel Alexandra. So we'll see what's next for Simply Joking. But as I say, 2 for 2, a couple of stakes races so far. It's been a rather impressive start to the career for that nice little 3-year-old filly. Colonel Bradley on the card yesterday as well. That was another one of the races that was taken off the turf. This was another one, and I said it yesterday when I was in here, actually. I did not have Gigante in amongst my dirt picks, and as I looked, I said I definitely should have had Gigante in the mix because there was some dirt form to lean on. Gigante goes out for Steve Asmussen with Jose Ortiz, who's having such a good meet. Gigante is going to be the number 7 horse. The betting public was on it. And as I say, I should have bet on it as well. Gigante clearly was going to be okay with the surface switch. Gets it done here by almost 2 lengths. Gigante is the 4-5 favorite. I'd rather be Blessed, runs second, and Money Supply runs third. But again, with Jose Ortiz on board for Steve Asmussen, it is Gigante appreciating the surface switch. And after the race, there was in the Winner's Circle post-race interview with Steve Asmussen, he kind of praised this horse. Turf, dirt, soft, firm, off-going dirt, dry dirt, just multi-talented and appreciated, as I said yesterday, the off-going, but also the dirt at the fairgrounds. Gigante, who is now a very solid 9 for 19 overall. And that went into yesterday with over $1 million. So you can see why Steve Asmussen is kind of singing his praises. You go down the resume, everything showing on the page is a stakes race and is clearly in the hunt far more often than not. Now with 19 starts, 8 wins, a second and 2/3, so is in the top 3 positions, 11 of 19, and again, well over $1 million in earnings. So Gigante, one of those horses that not a superstar who everybody knows the name, but certainly if you're a horse owner, you'd love to own one like that who goes out and seems to get it done far, far more often than not. Gigante in the Colonel Bradley. The Louisiana Stakes yesterday. Actually, before we do the Louisiana Stakes, why don't we take a quick break? So we'll come back and we'll do the last couple from the fairgrounds and more. But we'll give you a little break as we've been rolling now for about 25 minutes or so. So let's go to a couple of minutes on the sidelines, and we'll be right back with, as I say, wrapping it up with the Louisiana and the LeCompte. We'll take a look at some more action as well when Racing Across America continues. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. As promised before the break, we'll take now a look at the Louisiana Stakes. Again, they hit the various divisions. These big days at the fairgrounds are nice because they have them every few weeks. No matter what division you're looking at or you're in, you can continue along. And for the older division, the handicap division, mile and a 16th, $175,000 in Louisiana. Nice little field in here. I had Warrior Johnny on top. That one wound up to be a late scratch, so I scratched into Skinner, who I thought ran well, but wound up to be the second choice and was third. The horse I had right underneath was Hit Show for Brad Cox, who certainly a very talented runner. Last year, 4 wins and 6 starts. So in the 5-year-old debut, Hit Show under Flojo, Florent Geroux, is the number 1 horse here, and gets it done nicely. Como Ribino Omide, I'm guessing, I'm taking a shot there, winds up running second. The number 9 horse at 14-1. Again, Skinner runs third. I thought Skinner ran okay. The number 5 horse winds up third in here. And you can see is running late. And I thought, through this stretch, I thought my top pick Skinner was going to be okay. Just came up a little short in the first start for Cherie Duo. Just misses second, gets caught a little bit late. But we'll see what that one does going forward. Again, this was the first start. Had been out in Southern California with John Sheriffs. Been with Cherie Duo now for a little bit. So I thought it was a decent try there from Skinner. Didn't like to see just get caught for second, but that was the situation. However, it was a nice performance, nice late run from Hit Show to get it done. Again, Brad Cox, Florent Geroux, This one came into the race, 7 wins in 15 starts. So now has won half of the starts, 8 wins in 16 starts, and well over $1 million in earnings for a hit show. Again, another one that not superstar status necessarily, not jumping off the page as one people are talking about all year long. But when this horse shows up in a stake, you have to pay attention. Came out of a 3rd place finish in the Clark as the beaten favorite, but gets back to his winning ways yesterday. And Brad Cox said, this year they're going to look to see if they can get a Grade 1 victory on the resume. Had run last year, a couple of years ago, 2023, ran 5th behind Maj in the Kentucky Derby, ran 4th in the Belmont Stakes. But Brad Cox, didn't have a specific, we're going for this, but said sometime during the year, I'm going to look to put a Grade 1 on the resume. And being it's Brad Cox, who knows, maybe we'll see this one up, giving a shot to the Whitney up here or one of the other Grade 1s available, either during the Saratoga meet or potentially, I'm trying to think of what, but during the Belmont, I would think there'd be something during the Belmont Festival. So we'll see where that one hit show winds up, but looking to try some Grade 1 company at some point during the year. The Lecomte, obviously, the highlight of the afternoon with the 3-year-olds taking their first steps on the Louisiana Triple Crown Trail as 3-year-olds. Bob Ehalt was in yesterday. He had handicapped the Lecomte for America's Best Racing, and so I reached out to him to get his thoughts because he liked Disco Time. Disco Time at 9-2 on the morning line, but the betting public was all over Disco Time. I was a little bit surprised. Not that this horse was taking some kind of action, but Disco Time went off as the 9-5 favorite. Built, who was coming out of a win in the Gun Runner back in December over this track at this trip, Bill went off at 5-2 as the second choice. Like I say, I did not see that coming, but the betting public nails it, as it will wind up being Disco Time, number 11, getting it done over number 13, Built. Innovator, the number 1, D. Wayne Lucas runner, runs 3rd. I liked Magnitude, taking a little shot with the Asmussen runner with Jose Ortiz on board. Just never really got it going where you thought, you can see, if you can tell, second from the outside, Magnitude kind of runs into a little bit of traffic and gets stymied a little bit. It's worth watching. Again, now on the outside in about 5th place. But coming there with a nice late run, it is Disco Time, getting it done. Again, for Brad Cox, Florent Giroux on board. Jareth Loveberry on Built runs 2nd for Wayne Catalano. And the chart margin, a neck. So they were both right there, certainly. They were half a length in front of the D. Wayne Lucas Innovator. So all 3 of those, visually ran okay, but the time was 147.07. It was the slowest Lecomte since they went to the mile and a 16th in 2020. So again, it was 147 and change. The next slowest was 145 and change. So it's almost 2 seconds slower than the next slowest time since, again, 2020, moving to the mile and a 16th. Brad Cox had won this race once prior. That was back in 2023 with Instant Coffee, and Instant Coffee is the one who had that 145, the second slowest time now. He wound up with a 92 buyer out of that. I'm very curious, and again, I checked during the break, still haven't seen any buyers, but I'm curious what the number is with the time coming out of this race. We will see. Disco Time by sire, not this time. Not this time is kind of interesting. Is the sire? He has sired Cogburn, who is up for Sprinter of the Year, and he sired Next, who is the crazy king of marathon runners. So intriguing as a sire to be on both sides of the equation like that. But Disco Time in the first try around 2 turns, successful. Had been 2 for 2 in the career Debuted at 7 furlongs at Churchill. Nice win. Followed up going the 1-turn mile at Churchill. Nice win. Again, 77 buyer, 81 buyer. Very intrigued to see what the number turns out to be for this one. But again, these are the first steps on the trail. And the comp has had some nice winners over the years that have gone on to be productive. And it's been a mixed bag. Some yes, some no. So we'll see where Disco Time winds up in that category. But again, being Brad Cox and Juddmonte, you have to pay some respect, certainly. So there were your results yesterday from the fairgrounds. And that leads me into also, I will remind you once again that there's a Derby future pool this weekend. If you go to the Kentucky Derby website, kentuckyderby.com, and I think the drop-down menu is on racing. So the top of the page, you'll see racing. Hover your mouse over that. A drop-down menu will open up, and you'll see future wager. You click on that. You can get a set of PPs. You have until 6 o'clock today to jump in and make your play. I pulled up here the current odds. I'll tell you, the current odds, we'll see how it shakes out by post time. Post by 6 o'clock today when it closes. But at 5-1, all others offer some nice value because, again, they expanded this a couple years ago to 40, 39 individual entrants and all others. So all others is maybe a touch less potent, but in January, I guarantee you're going to wind up with that all others with some very nice horses. And 5-1 on all others, I think, at this point. But we'll see as the day progresses. But currently, the only single entrant in single digits is Barnes at 6-1. Everybody else is in double digits. And again, in January, I think you want at least 20-1 or 25-1 before you're jumping in. That said, Disco Time after the win yesterday, 19-1. East Avenue is 15-1. These are some of the shorter prices on here. Patch Adams, 11-1. Rodriguez, who was the maiden breaker for Bob Baffert that had the triple-digit buyer coming out of that. Rodriguez is maybe a little bit intriguing at 20-1. Sandman for Marquesi, 58-1. I'm just looking at Chancellor McPatrick, 25-1. And again, the article within the past couple of days, and we talked to Bob Edalt about it. He had talked to Chad Brown too. Chancellor McPatrick had a little flake that was removed, I guess, later last year after the Breeders' Cup. So they have to, get a little bit maybe of a belated start. But Chad Brown was still hoping Tampa Bay Derby, then maybe onto the Bluegrass and the Kentucky Derby. But Chancellor McPatrick at 25-1, interesting. Coal Battle. Again, the stakes winner down at Oaklawn that comes from, lesser-known connections. But 41-1 on Coal Battle is a little bit interesting. Cyclone State, who had the nice win a couple of weeks ago, 99-1. That seems. Donut God is 97-1. Ferocious at 39-1 seems interesting. There are some horses in here that I think you can play around with and get the right kind of odds. Jonathan's Way, 43-1. Owen Almighty, 64-1. Again, you look down the list, you may have a horse that you're kind of looking at or a couple of horses. There are some opportunities here. And again, it closes at the end of the day, 6 o'clock, and so the odds may shake up a little bit. But I would think, particularly on all others, I wouldn't be surprised if we lose a little bit of value there, maybe. But some of these other prices, I think, will not shake up a whole lot. So take a look. Again, you can get the free PPs at KentuckyDerby.com. Play that future bet. It's a win bet, and there's also an exacta pool as well. So maybe have a little bit of fun with the Kentucky Future Pool, this weekend's version of it that, again, closes at 6 o'clock today. All right, let's take another break. When we come back, a little more on the news and notes side of things, and then we will maybe handicap a little bit as well. All of that when Racing Across America continues. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. I wanted to go back to Friday and just give a tip of the cap to my summertime co-host on Loose on the Lead up at Saratoga, Sirius and XM's Steve Bick. His DT stables on Friday had Landauer in the finale at Aqueduct on Friday. Going to be the 8-horse here in the very nice lime green, blue dot silks of DT stables. Again, the number 8-horse, so you can see the chicklet, and you can see there with the lime green blinkers as well. Under Katie Davis is making a very nice late run. Favored Accidental Bid at even money is on the lead. And here you think, oh, that's a tall task. But now it starts to get closer and closer. And again, under Katie Davis, it will be Landauer getting it done for Steve Bick and company by a head. Gary Siaka trains. And again, Katie Davis on board. Just a phenomenal win, but 39-1. So $80.50 there. I know Steve was down, was in the winner's circle. Again, had to be a fun afternoon, certainly for Landauer, who, the odds were a little bit crazy. The horse, a couple of starts back in similar company, had run a decent third at 6-1 that day. So the odds were a little bit crazy. But if you were on board, the odds were great. So congratulations to anybody who was on board for the wager. But certainly, again, congratulations to our friend Steve Bick and company, all the folks involved, Gary Siaka, and as I say, Katie Davis on board. That was fun on Friday afternoon to watch the victory at the big price, the balloons price, getting it done. Also have a little bit of video here going back to yesterday, getting ready for the Pegasus. Mystic Dan, who disappointed on the return in the Malibu. Last year's Kentucky Derby winner, again, took off a big portion of the latter part of the year last year, made the return in the Malibu, and just it was not much. But yesterday he was out on the track down at Gulfstream, getting in a work for the Pegasus. Kenny McPeak seemed pleased with it. Kenny McPeak quoted as saying, "It's what I'd call a happy 5/8 maintenance breeze. I didn't really have a horse that I felt was good enough for going company. I didn't think he needed company." So he's out there by himself, getting it done, 5 furlongs and 59 and change, and set down for his best from the 8th pole to the wire, according to the article from Mike Welch, who clearly knows what he's doing, looking at workouts. Went out, galloped out 6 furlongs and 113 and change. After the work, Mike Welch tweeted out another set down move for Mystic Dan. looked good jogging back. He was on his toes after the work. So seems like kind of a thumbs up for Mystic Dan. We'll have to see if this one can rebound from what, again, was a little bit of a disappointing performance in the Malibu to end the 3-year-old season. So Pegasus shaping up to be kind of interesting in and of itself. I think the day is going to be fun also, just less than a week away now. Paco Lopez, who was in the news last month, was, part of the video, the simulcast video had him on the gallop out after a race down at Parks on December 3rd. His horse had been unruly and had, was bearing out and at the wire towards the winner's circle. And Paco, took his crop and popped the horse a couple of times. And it was a bad look and attracted the consternation, justifiably, of many. Subsequently, Heisa put him on a suspension. He was required to go to therapy sessions, make donations to the PDJF, et cetera, et cetera. Well, yesterday, Heisa said he has been reinstated as far as getting back to racing. He can return riding on January 23rd. Heisa said, he met all the requirements of the suspension. So he now has the potential to get back on the 23rd. And he himself seemed to, realize the gravity of the situation. At least his public pronunciations were such. So hopefully, moving forward, that is something that we don't see again. But he will be back within the next week or so. Has the potential. I mean, he can come back. We'll see, if he comes back immediately or how the situation plays out. All right. Let me hit on some handicapping here as we have a few minutes left. And we'll take a look at the late pick 5 at Gulfstream today. Again, I'll be in a little bit later on going live with looks at this as far as Gulfstream and Aqueduct. We'll have a little more action on the network here today as well. Let me just see. I looked just a few minutes ago, but let me see if they have posted some scratches yet, so I don't include scratched horses in my conversation. And they do have some scratches noted, and they're also listing off the turf again today at Gulfstream. So keep that in mind for this afternoon. But they're on the main track, scheduled on the main track in the 6th. And again, we'll take a look at the pick 5. Not putting a ticket together, just giving some ideas. Pick 5 at Gulfstream today. In the 6th, there are no scratches. 2, 1, 5, and 3. I'm put Santos to Wilson on top, favored on the morning line off a nice win 2 back at the bottom claiming level. Then they went into an optional claimer, a little saltier. Ran okay, ran 5th, but it was, wasn't way out of it. Now they kind of split the difference at this 12-5 tag. I think should appreciate that. Uranium in the 2nd spot, claimed last time. Trainer limited sample, not showing much off the claim. But if we can kind of hold the form when last seen, I think there's the potential to run very well. It was running at this level in a very similar event last time and just missed, so seems like a logical player. Looney Sema in the 3rd spot. Boy, there are some back numbers here that if we get to, this one might be the one to beat. The last couple of starts, not so much. One was in July and then laid off and came back in December. And they were both, again, a little bit questionable as far as has this horse gone the wrong way. But in the 2nd start off the layoff, I'll give this one a chance to maybe rebound. And again, there are back numbers that make Looney Sema interesting and playable. In the 6th at Gulfstream, 2, 1, 5, and 3. 7th race at Gulfstream. Again, no scratches there either. Sprinting on the synthetic for optional claimer starter allowance types, 3, 8, 6, and 1. Episode on top. Tyler Gaffleone on board a horse that's a last out winner, but did win for a maiden claiming tag and now goes into an optional claimer starter allowance. This is clearly a little bit of a saltier bunch, but just seemed to kind of figure it out. Now, it may have been one of those where they just got down to the class level where the horse stood out. And so this class move may not help. But I'm going to hope that it was more the horse just kind of figured it out, appreciated that company last time, got a nice confidence builder, and we can put a couple together. Jay-Z's Last Chance by Chance-a-Lot. Couple of maiden special races to start the career, and then an allowance last time. They were at Hawthorne and Keeneland, so hasn't been seen since October at Keeneland. Moves into a new barn, but I thought the last couple of races, the maiden breaker two-back, certainly, I thought they were good enough to stack up with this group. We're getting 6-1 on the morning line, and again, that race two-back says this horse could and should be a player. Also coming out of a maiden breaker in the latest start, like the top pick, is Slew Diva, the number 6 horse. Broke the maiden for the 17.5 tag. So really similar scenario to the top pick where the latest was notable, and we're hoping that's more indicative of the horse just kind of figuring it out with experience. But with both of those, it may have just been the lower level. So could be a question mark with the class move today back against a little bit saltier. Interesting field in here, not a spectacular field, interesting, where you can kind of point to a few of them and think that there's a little something there. So we'll see how it plays out in the 7th at Gulfstream, 3, 8, 6, and 1. 8th race at Gulfstream today. Again, they're on the synthetic at 8.5 furlongs for a plain vanilla $35,000 claimers. In the 8th race, there are no scratches. At this point, again, double check your scratches as we get closer. I'm looking here. This scratch time went out at 10:10, and I looked this before I went on the air earlier, and that they weren't up, but came out at 10:10. I don't know whether there is a later scratch time as well, but just it's always worth double checking as you get closer to post time. 8th race today, I have it 7, 5, 3, and 4. Hot-blooded on top. Carlos David and Tyler Gaffleone. 3rd start back from a late summer, early fall layoff. Not a huge layoff, mid-August to late November, but it was a little bit of a layoff and came back very well. Nice win in the first start off that layoff. Claimed out of that race. Moved into an optional claimer starter allowance that was a little saltier, ran well first off the claim, so they put a little money in the bank, and now they drop into this 35 claimer where I think the horse class-wise will be a square fit. So hot-blooded on top. J.P. Hellish in the 2nd spot. Nice win for an optional $32,000 tag, 2 starts back and was claimed out of that. Then they moved up to a optional $62,500. Ran okay, was right in the thick of things through much of it, and then just faded a little bit, 6th, but by 3 lengths. So, again, it was a decent effort. But with that race under the belt, a little move down to this level today, I think is very, very playable as well. And probably talent-wise, I think is right in the ballpark with the top pick. So, again, take a look at the odds as you get close to post time. Number 3, Read On in the 3rd spot. Nice win, 3 back. In an optional 25, and then went into optional claiming 62,500 in the past couple of starts. Was not in for the tag, but was at that class level. Those 2 starts clearly weren't as good as the win, and they were kind of a mixed bag number-wise. One of them, the number not so good. One of them, the number pretty good. But I think overall, another one that at this 35 claiming level is going to be very playable in here in a new barn today. But I think is, again, at the right spot class-wise. In the 8th at Gulfstream, 7, 5, 3, and 4. 9th race, we do have a scratch. Doesn't affect me, but it's the number 9 Fast Fixer. Scratched in the 9th. As I say, doesn't affect me. I have it 7, 3, 5, and 1. We're looking at state-bred optional claimers, non-winners of 1 other than sprinting on the Tapeta. My voodoo doll on top, Dylan Davis for Mark Casse. They've been a kind of a fun team since Dylan got down to South Florida. He's been riding very well. Irod Ortiz was on board this one middle of December for a nice win to break the maiden with a solid number. Just seems to appreciate the move down to Gulfstream from Woodbine. It was clearly the best race of the career. And, if we can buy into, horse benefited from earlier experience, but seemed to appreciate Gulfstream Park. My voodoo doll looks very playable in here today. Courageous Copper in the second spot. This one comes down, makes the first start on the move from Woodbine. Nice try in kind of a similar event, two back. Nice try and win. I was claimed out of that and went against perhaps a little bit saltier in the follow-up at Woodbine. Still ran okay, had an apprentice on board that day. Now comes down to Florida. And I think in this state-bred optional claimer, I think he's going to class up very well. And you get Luis Saez on board today as opposed to the apprentice last time. I think Courageous Copper is very playable. East Boston Benny in the third spot, 10-1 on the morning line. But man, with the early speed, this horse, you can never ignore. Sprinting on this Tapeta, a horse that's showing early speed like that, you have to pay attention. And at the odds, could be fun as well. Morning line odds. Ninth race at Gulfstream, 7, 3, 5, and 1. And finally, the 10th and final at Gulfstream today. We're off the turf, and I lost my top pick. So the number 1 All Night Revival is a scratch, and the number 11 Phoenix of Wit is also a scratch. So I now move up 4, 5, and 7. Number 4, Drop the Hammer. Mark Casse, Dylan Davis again. This one going to be interesting to see. 8-1 on the morning line by Gun Runner. A little bit of breeding. They come back, blinkers on. Lasix for the first time as a 3-year-old, and the second career start off a dud, frankly, in the debut. But I thought there was some breeding. I thought with a little time off, this horse could come back with improvement. They paid a decent amount of money for the horse at Ocala March last year. Again, I'm going to be interested to see what we get odds-wise. 8-1 on the morning line, but off the first start, you have to kind of demand a little bit of value. And again, I had this one originally underneath. This is now a move up. But I think the horse could be intriguing in the second start with a little time off and experience under the belt. In the second spot, in Esprit, going out first time for Christophe Clement by Flincher. Little string of workouts at Payson. There wasn't much to go with here, but I thought maybe a little bit of breathing. Christophe Clement can have him ready. Joel Rosario hops on board. Interesting. And Jalila in the third spot. Javier Castellano on board. A runner that, kind of like the top pick, had a debut effort that was a while ago, so the time off. This one, however, the debut as compared to the top pick, debut is okay. It was the beaten favorite that day. Wound up fourth after having the lead. So Jalila, I think you definitely have to take a look at in the second start with that experience under the belt in the debut. In the 10th at Gulfstream, 4, 5, and 7. All right, going to wrap it up here. But before I do want to remind you of some of the promos coming up because one is going to play into today. But first off, let me remind you the Turfway Bounty Bet continues. That'll come back on Wednesday when Turfway returns. It's the early pick 5 at Turfway. You play it with your Capital OTB bet account. You're only playing against, as far as the bounty is concerned, you're only playing against other people playing via Capital OTB bet. If you're the lone person to hit that early pick 5 at Turfway, you not only collect the pick 5 money, but you get the bounty as well, a little extra something. If multiple people hit, there's a consolation. So again, every Turfway racing day, the Turfway Park bounty bet, early pick 5 at Turfway. The normal Friday bounty bet returns this week on Friday with Gulfstream Park. Don't forget that. That's the late pick 5 on Fridays. Late pick 5 at Gulfstream this Friday for the bounty bet. And you have to, again, play through your Capital OTB bet account to get your shot at that. Saturday, there's a player's bankroll here at the Clubhouse Racebook. So, you get the dough and you make the picks, and the bankroll team splits it up at the end of the day. So it's a nice, fun kind of team effort with you, the players, making the plays during the day. If you're randomly selected to be on the team, that'll be Saturday here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Pegasus Day should be fun. And there's also a $750 syndicate coming up. Entries for that to be randomly selected for the team are opening today at noon. So keep that in mind. You put in 25. There'll be 20 people on the team. Each put in 25. That's 500. Capital OTB kicks in another 250. So it's 750. And then the team members will submit selections. There'll be a consensus made on a pick 5 on Saturday on behalf of the team. So that should be fun as well. But entries will open today at about noontime via capitalotb.com. Go to the promotions link, look for that online syndicate graphic, click on that, and you will get the entry form for the online syndicate. All of that coming up here at Capital OTB. Where you can have a little extra fun, win a little extra dough, perhaps. Seth Merrow, racing across America on a Sunday morning. Again, recapping some of the fun action from yesterday. We'll see how it all plays out going forward for some of these nice winners over the last 24 hours or so. And it should be fun as we're making the early steps on the Derby Oaks Trail. Again, Derby Future Pool closing at 6 p.m. today. Jump in, have a little fun there as well. And we will jump in and have a little fun OTB Live on a Sunday afternoon. And just a little, let me remind you, as far as, again, we'll give you the weather update. Laurel canceled for today in anticipation of some weather. Aqueduct has announced sped up post times in anticipation of weather. By the time they get to the last race today, they'll be about 25 minutes ahead of the schedule. So again, if you're playing a little Aqueduct, just be aware that, if you're sitting at home and looking at post times, hey, I'm going to play that late pick 4, they're going to be a little bit earlier. So keep that in mind for today, Aqueduct with faster post times. Tomorrow on the holiday, Oaklawn was scheduled to run, but they are anticipating some temperatures. So the Monday card at Oaklawn has been moved to Thursday. So they will have an extra day coming up next week, but no Monday racing at Oaklawn, but they'll be back on Thursday. And Mahoning Valley has canceled for tomorrow and Tuesday. So that gives you an update there. Otherwise, let's wrap it up for Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. But again, back in about an hour or so for OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. We'll see you then. We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.